My name is Emma Hartley. I'm 28 years old, and my father has been choosing my brother over me for my entire life. Not in small ways, in the ways that matter. College tuition gone to Jake, a car crashed by Jake, a down payment for a house lost by Jake. Every time I asked for help, the answer was the same. Jake needs it more. You're strong, Emma. You'll figure it out. I was 5 years old when I first heard those words. I was 28 when I heard them again. But this time, something was different. This time, my grandfather had been watching. And 6 months after he died, his final letter would be read aloud in front of everyone, my father, my brother, my aunts and uncles, the whole family. And when that letter was opened, everything changed. If you've ever been the child who was too strong to need help, comment "I remember," because this story isn't about revenge. It's about what happens when the person who always believed in you finally gets the last word. Let me take you back. My grandfather, William Hartley, was the only person in my family who never made me feel like I was too much or not enough. He was a quiet man. He didn't talk about feelings, he showed them. When I was 10, he taught me how to fish off the dock at his lake house. We sat there for hours, not talking, just watching the water. He put his hand on my shoulder and said, "You've got good instincts, Emma. Don't let anyone talk you out of them." My father, Robert, was different. Robert was loud where Grandpa was quiet. He was certain where Grandpa was thoughtful. And he was absolutely convinced that my younger brother, Jake, was the child who deserved everything. Jake was born when I was 3. From the moment he arrived, the world shifted. He had colic, so my mother was up all night. He had allergies, so the family diet changed. He had a creative spirit, so school was optional. I got good grades. I didn't complain. I learned to cook my own dinner at 8 because everyone was too tired. Emma is so independent, my father would say. It sounded like a compliment. It functioned like a dismissal. The first time I remember feeling the weight of it was when I was 14. I wanted to go to a summer writing program. It wasn't expensive, a few $100s. I had saved half from babysitting. I went to my father. "Dad, I need $200 for the program." He didn't look up from his phone. "Jake needs braces. We can't afford extras right now. It's $200. Emma, you're resourceful. Figure it out." I figured it out. I worked extra hours. I went to the program. I won a writing award. I brought the certificate home. My father glanced at it. "That's nice, sweetheart." Then he went back to his phone. Jake got his braces. He never wore his retainer. The teeth shifted back. My father didn't mention it. That was the pattern. That was always the pattern. The lake house was Grandpa's pride. He bought it in 1985, a small cabin on a quiet lake about 2 hours from the city. Over the years, he added a dock, a screened porch, a wood stove that kept the whole place warm in the fall. It wasn't fancy, it was solid, it was his. I spent every summer there until I was 18. Grandpa taught me to fish, to build a fire, to cook eggs in a cast iron pan. He never talked about the future. He never promised me anything. But he looked at me the way my father never did, like I was someone worth watching. Jake came to the lake house once or twice. He was bored. He didn't like the bugs. He asked Grandpa why there wasn't Wi-Fi. Grandpa smiled at him and said, "That's the point." When I was 22, Grandpa got sick. Not all at once, slowly the way old bodies do. He stopped coming to family dinners. He stopped answering the phone. I drove out to the lake house to check on him. He was sitting on the porch, wrapped in a blanket, watching the water. "Grandpa?" He turned to me. His eyes were tired, but they lit up when he saw me. "Emma, you came. Of course I came." I sat next to him. We watched the water together, the way we always had. "I'm not going to be around much longer," he said. "I want you to know something. Don't talk like that. I want you to know that I see you. I always have, and I've been keeping track." He didn't explain what he meant. I didn't ask. I thought he was just tired. Just old, just saying something to make me feel better. He wasn't. Grandpa died 6 months later. I was at work when my phone rang. My mother's voice, strange and distant. "Emma, your grandfather passed away this morning." I didn't cry at my desk. I waited until I got to my car. Then I sat in the parking lot and sobbed until I couldn't breathe. The funeral was small. Grandpa didn't like fuss. My father gave a eulogy. Short, respectful, correct. Jake showed up in jeans and didn't apologize. My mother cried quietly in the front row. I sat in the back, alone. After the service, my father pulled me aside. "We need to talk about the estate," he said. "Now? Your grandfather didn't leave much. The lake house, some investments. It's all going to me. I'll manage it for the family." "For the family," I repeated. "For everyone." I knew what that meant. It meant for Jake. It meant for whoever needed it most. It meant not for me. "Okay," I said, because I had learned not to fight. My father nodded, satisfied. "You've always been the strong one, Emma. I appreciate that. The strong one. The one who could take it. The one who didn't need anything." I drove home alone. I didn't cry again. I had learned not to. If you think you know where this story is going, you're probably wrong, because 6 months after Grandpa died, my phone rang on a Tuesday afternoon, a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer. Emma Hartley? Speaking, this is Margaret Chen from Chen and Associates. I was your grandfather's attorney. I sat down. Okay. Your grandfather left instructions that I was to contact you 6 months after his passing. He asked me to read a letter to the family. In person. A letter? A final letter. He wrote it 3 weeks before he died. He said you would know when the time was right. When? Saturday. At the lake house. He wanted everyone there. Everyone. Everyone. I hung up. I sat in my kitchen for a long time. The lake house. Everyone. A letter written 3 weeks before he died. Grandpa had been keeping track. I just didn't know what he'd been tracking. Saturday came faster than I expected. I woke up at 5 a.m., too nervous to sleep. I stood in front of my closet for 20 minutes, trying to decide what to wear. Something about that felt wrong, worrying about my outfit when my grandfather's last words were about to be read. But I couldn't help it. I wanted to look like someone who had it together. I wanted to look like the granddaughter he believed in. I settled on a simple navy dress. No jewelry except Grandpa's old watch, the one he'd given me on my 18th birthday. It was too big for my wrist. I wore it anyway. The drive to the lake house took 2 hours. I watched the city fade into suburbs, the suburbs into farmland, the farmland into trees. The lake house sat at the end of a gravel road, hidden from view by a stand of old pines. When I pulled into the driveway, there were already 5 cars parked in the grass. My father's SUV. My mother's sedan, Jake's truck parked sideways across 2 spots, my Aunt Carol's minivan, and a black sedan I didn't recognize. The lawyer's, probably. I sat in my car for a moment, gripping the steering wheel. You've got good instincts, Emma. Don't let anyone talk you out of them. I got out of the car. The lake house smelled the same. Pine and wood smoke and old furniture. I walked through the screen door onto the porch, where everyone was already gathered. My father stood by the fireplace, talking to my Uncle Mark. He looked comfortable, confident, like he owned the place, which, I reminded myself, he thought he did. My mother sat on the couch next to Aunt Carol, holding a cup of coffee she wasn't drinking. And Jake was sprawled in Grandpa's favorite chair, feet up on the ottoman, scrolling through his phone. He didn't look up when I walked in. Emma, my father said, you made it. Of course I did. We were just talking about the property. I'm thinking of selling it. The market's good right now. I felt something tighten in my chest. Selling it? It's too much to maintain. And Jake could use the money for his new business. What new business? Jake looked up from his phone. I'm starting a brewery. You don't know how to brew beer. It's about the vision, Emma, not the execution. My father nodded like this made sense. He's got entrepreneurial spirit. He just needs a seed. The seed. That's what my father called money when he gave it to Jake. A seed. Jake had been given a lot of seeds over the years. None of them had ever grown into anything. I didn't say any of this. I just found a seat in the corner and waited. At exactly 10 a.m., the lawyer stood up. Margaret Chen was a small woman with sharp eyes and a calm voice. She didn't look like someone who was about to blow up a family. She looked like someone who had done this 100 times. Thank you all for coming, she said. As you know, William Hartley asked me to read his final letter 6 months after his passing. I have the letter here, sealed, unopened. She held up a cream-colored envelope. My father shifted in his seat. Is this really necessary? We've already settled the estate. This was your father's wish. Robert, it's just a letter. Then it won't take long. Margaret Chen opened the envelope. She pulled out several pages, handwritten in my grandfather's distinctive scrawl. She adjusted her glasses. Before I read this, I want to say one thing. Your father wrote this 3 weeks before he died. He was of sound mind. His physician will provide documentation if needed. We don't need documentation, my father said quickly. Good. She began to read. To my family, if you're reading this, I'm gone. And I'm sorry I couldn't say these things in person. But I've learned over the years that some truths are better delivered from a distance. Robert, my son, I love you. But I have watched you for 30 years, and I have seen what you've done. You gave Jake a college fund. Emma paid her own way. You bought Jake a car. Emma took the bus. You paid for Jake's wedding. Emma has never even been engaged. When Emma needed help, you told her she was strong. When Jake needed help, you told him you would handle it. That is not love, Robert. That is a habit. You have spent your whole life believing that the child who asks for help deserves it, and the child who doesn't ask doesn't need it. But Emma didn't stop asking because she didn't need help. She stopped asking because you taught her that asking was useless. I watched this happen. And I said nothing. That is my shame, not yours. Mine, but I am not leaving this world without correcting something I should have corrected years ago. I am leaving the lake house to Emma, not to you, Robert, not to Jake, to Emma. The investments, the ones you don't know about, are also going to Emma. You will get nothing. This is not a punishment. This is a correction. Emma was the one who came to see me when I was sick. Emma was the one who sat with me on this porch and watched the water. Emma was the one who asked nothing and gave everything. She is my heir. She always has been. The rest of you just had the same last name. I love you all. But love is not the same as trust, and I trust Emma. Goodbye, Dad." The room was silent. My father's face had gone pale. His mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. Jake had stopped scrolling. He was staring at the lawyer, then at me, then back at the lawyer. "This is a joke, right?" Jake said. "This has to be a joke." "It's not a joke," Margaret Chen said. "The documents have been filed with the court. The lake house is already in Emma's name. The investments have been transferred. There's nothing to contest." "Nothing to contest?" My father found his voice. It was sharp, angry. He was senile. He didn't know what he was doing. "Your father was evaluated by his physician 3 days before he wrote this letter. He was determined to be of sound mind. I have the documentation. This is insane." Jake stood up. "Dad, say something." My father looked at me. His eyes were cold. "Did you know about this?" "No," I said. "I didn't. You expect me to believe that?" "I don't expect anything from you, Dad. I stopped expecting things a long time ago." He flinched. It was small, almost invisible. But I saw it. My mother hadn't said a word. She was staring at the floor, her hands folded in her lap. Aunt Carol cleared her throat. "Well," she said, "I think Emma deserves it. She was the only one who visited him." "That's not the point," my father snapped. "Then what is the point, Robert? That you wanted the money? That you thought you deserved it? I'm his son. And Emma was his granddaughter, the one who showed up." The room fell into an uncomfortable silence. I stood up. I didn't know what I was going to say. I just knew I couldn't sit there anymore. "I didn't ask for this," I said. My voice was steady. I was surprised. "I didn't know about the letter. I didn't know about the lake house. I didn't know about any of it." I looked at my father. "But I'm not going to pretend I'm sorry. You gave Jake everything my whole life. You told me I was strong and he needed help. And I believed you. I believed you for 28 years, Emma. Grandpa saw it. He saw all of it. And he decided to do something about it. That's not my fault. That's yours." My father stood up. His chair scraped against the floor. "You think this makes you better than us?" "No," I said. "I think this makes me free." I walked out of the lake house, past the porch, past the dock, past the pine trees. I didn't look back. Part 3. Justice plus resolution. I sat in my car for 20 minutes before I could drive. My hands were shaking, not from fear. From something I couldn't name. Relief, maybe. Or grief. Or both. Grandpa had seen everything. He had watched my father give Jake everything, and he had said nothing. Not because he agreed, but because he was waiting. Waiting for the right moment. Waiting for the moment when his words would land like a hammer, and they had landed. I thought about the last time I saw him. Sitting on the porch, wrapped in a blanket. "I want you to know that I see you. I always have, and I've been keeping track." He wasn't just being sentimental. He was telling me the truth. He had been keeping track, for years, documenting every choice, every favor, every time my father chose Jake over me. And then he built a bomb. He wrote it all down, and he waited until he was gone to light the fuse. That was my grandfather. Quiet, patient. Devastating. The weeks that followed were strange. My father didn't call. Neither did Jake. My mother sent a few texts. "Are you okay? Do you need anything? Your father is very upset." But even those trailed off after a while. I think they didn't know what to say. I think they had spent so many years operating under the assumption that I didn't matter, that they didn't know how to talk to me when it turned out I did. I didn't reach out either. I didn't have anything to say to them. Not yet. Maybe not ever. The lake house was mine now. I drove out on a Sunday morning, 2 weeks after the letter was read. The key felt heavy in my hand. I unlocked the door. The house smelled the same. Pine and wood smoke and old furniture. I walked through every room. The kitchen where Grandpa made breakfast. The living room where we played cards on rainy afternoons. The porch where we watched the water. His chair was still there. The one Jake had been sitting in. I sat down in it for the first time in my life. It fit. I want to tell you about the letter's aftermath, because it wasn't clean. It wasn't the kind of ending where everyone claps and the credits roll. My father tried to contest the will. He hired a lawyer. He claimed Grandpa was senile. He claimed I had manipulated him. The court proceedings took 4 months. Margaret Chen was ready. She had documentation, medical records, witness statements, a video deposition Grandpa had recorded from his hospital bed. In the video, he looked tired but clear. He read from a piece of paper, his voice steady. "I, William Hartley, of sound mind and body, am leaving my lake house and my investments to my granddaughter, Emma Hartley. This is my decision. No one influenced me. No one coerced me. This is what I want." The judge ruled in my favor. My father's lawyer withdrew. My father didn't speak to me after that. Jake called once. He was drunk. I could hear it in his voice. "You think you're better than us now?" "I never thought that, Jake. You got everything. The house, the money. Dad won't even look at me anymore. That's not my fault. It's your fault he's angry. He's not angry at me. He's angry at himself. He just doesn't know how to say it." Jake was quiet for a moment. Then he hung up. 6 months after the letter was read, I went back to the lake house for the first time as its owner. I brought a suitcase and a bag of groceries and a book I'd been meaning to read for years. I stayed for a week. I fished off the dock. I cooked eggs in the cast iron pan. I sat on the porch and watched the water, and I read Grandpa's letter again. The one Margaret Chen had given me after the reading, in a sealed envelope marked, "For Emma. Only Emma." I opened it on the last night of my stay. Emma, if you're reading this, you already know what happened at the reading. You've seen your father's face. You've heard your brother's complaints. You've felt the weight of being the one who finally spoke up. I want you to know something. This letter, the one I had Margaret read to everyone, wasn't just about the money. It was about the truth. And the truth is that you deserved better. You always did. I should have said something years ago. I should have corrected your father when he gave Jake the car and left you on the bus. I should have stepped in when he paid for Jake's wedding and didn't ask about your life. I should have been braver. I wasn't. I'm sorry. But I'm making it right now. Not because I think the house or the money will fix the years of being overlooked. They won't. Nothing can fix that. You'll carry that with you for the rest of your life, and I'm sorry for that too. What I hope the house does, what I hope the money does, is give you the freedom to build something new. A life that isn't shaped by your father's choices. A life where you don't have to be strong all the time because someone else is finally carrying the weight. You were always my favorite, Emma. Not because you were the strongest, because you were the kindest. And kindness in the end is the only thing that lasts. I love you. I'm proud of you. And I'll be watching Grandpa P.S. The fishing spot by the big rock is still the best one. I never told anyone else. It's yours now. I folded the letter carefully. I put it back in the envelope. I walked down to the dock and sat at the edge, my feet dangling over the water. The sun was setting behind the trees, painting the lake in shades of orange and gold. I thought about my father, about Jake, about all the years of being the strong one, the capable one, the one who didn't need anything. And I thought about what Grandpa said. A life that isn't shaped by your father's choices. I didn't know what that life looked like yet. But I was sitting on a dock at a lake house that was mine, watching a sunset that belonged to no one, and for the first time in a long time, I wasn't waiting for anyone to choose me, because someone already had. Here's what I learned. For 28 years, I believed my father when he said Jake needed it more. I believed that being strong meant not asking for help. I believed that my value was measured by how little I required from other people. I was wrong. Strength isn't about not needing. It's about knowing what you deserve and not apologizing for it. My father gave Jake everything because Jake asked. He gave me nothing because I didn't. But here's the thing. I didn't ask because I learned that asking was pointless. Not because I didn't need. Grandpa saw that. He saw it for years, and he waited until he was gone to do something about it because he knew that if he did it while he was alive, my father would have found a way to undo it. He would have argued. He would have manipulated. He would have made it about himself. But you can't argue with a dead man. You can't manipulate a letter. You can't make a ghost's final wishes about your own ego. That was Grandpa's genius. He didn't just leave me the lake house. He left me the last word. I don't talk to my father anymore. He doesn't call. I don't call. There's a quiet there that used to feel like loss. Now it feels like peace. Jake got a job. A real one. A friend of a friend hired him at a warehouse. He hates it. But he's learning slowly that things cost money and money requires work. Grandpa's letter didn't just free me. It forced Jake to grow up. That was a gift too, even if he'll never see it that way. My mother calls sometimes. We talk about the weather. We don't talk about the letter. I think she's still processing. I think she's still trying to figure out where she fits in a family that no longer exists the way it used to. I don't blame her. She did the best she could. It wasn't enough, but I don't blame her. Tonight, I'm sitting on the porch of the lake house. It's fall now. The leaves are turning. The water is cold, but the wood stove is warm. I have a cup of coffee in one hand and Grandpa's letter in the other. I've read it 100 times. I'll probably read it 100 more. You were always my favorite, Emma. Not because you were the strongest. Because you were the kindest. I think about that. About what it means to be kind in a family that confused kindness with weakness. My father thought kindness was soft. He thought Jake needed more because Jake was more demanding. He thought my quiet was a sign that I was fine. He was wrong. Kindness isn't soft. It's the hardest thing there is. It's choosing not to become bitter when you have every right to be. It's showing up to a funeral and sitting in the back and not making a scene. It's driving 2 hours to check on an old man who no one else visits. That's what Grandpa saw, not strength, kindness. And he decided that kindness was worth more than a lake house, more than investments, more than anything else he had to give. He was right. My father chose my brother my whole life. My grandfather chose me once. That was enough. If you've ever been the child who didn't ask because asking was useless, share this with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.